Well, a few days ago, I showed you a heat battery using gravel and sand. And in the last part of that video, I showed you the formation of soot in the container that held the heat battery. Although that product seems more like a problem than something useful, today I want to show you some tests I've been doing and how we can make use of that product, right? It can be used in art, carpentry, at home, using the pigment to make polish, dye to darken paints, wood, and other interesting experiments. Some turned out well, others not, as well as I expected. At the end, I'll give you my opinion. We'll start with the safety measures. Although this product is not a powerful poison, I must tell you that it contains toxins. So I recommend using a mask or face covering and gloves when handling it. That being said, let's see how to produce it. Although it forms naturally when we burn wood, cardboard, and paper, it's very easy to produce it using candles, or simply like I'm doing right now. By putting some cooking oil in a can with a bit of cotton and placing a container on top, which can be another can, like in this case, so that the lampblack, which is what this product is called, gets deposited there, right? Well, afterwards, to collect it, we use a brush and transfer it to a container with a lid. This product is very light and it flies away very easily. And as I told you, well, it's not good to inhale it. You should always handle it in a sheltered place so it doesn't fly away. Carbon black or huojin is a pigment that has always been used to make inks. Well, let's go with the first test, the India ink test. I prepared this product by hand, mixing the pigment with warm water and a few drops of white glue. To mix the huojin, I did it earlier with a few drops of alcohol. By nature, huojin repels water. It's hydrophobic. That's why you have to mix it with alcohol beforehand. Once it forms a paste, then we add the warm water with the white glue. You just add a few drops of white glue so it turns slightly colored whitish. And, well, you shouldn't add too much water. Don't put in too much. Add it little by little. And the original formula used gum arabic, but, well, I didn't have any at home, so I used white glue. You have to mix it very well and try not to leave any lumps. And, well, this was the result. I was disappointed. It turned out pretty bad. Even though it stuck perfectly to the paper, it didn't look anything like the original India ink. The first attempt was a letdown. All right, let's try another test. The test with water-based varnish. Just like we did in the previous test, you mix the lampblack with a little bit of alcohol to make a paste. Then we add enough varnish to get the shade we want, right? Well, you have to mix it really well with the spatula so there aren't any lumps. It has to be very, very homogeneous. All right, here we see the test. This turned out much better than with the first method. The color is much more even, and of course it sticks perfectly to the paper. Now let's try another test. The test with linseed oil. This oil is often used as a penetrating finish, and sometimes you want it to darken the wood nicely. So first, we mix the lampblack with a few drops of oil. Here you don't need to mix it with alcohol anymore because the oil mixes with the pigment and we blend it well, always using the spatula, or we make it into a kind of paste like this. And then we keep adding enough oil to reach the right tone. We should add the oil little by little, stirring constantly so we don't overdo it, right? Well, here I'm testing it on wood, and honestly, I really like how it turns out. It got quite a bit darker, and look how the pigments highlight the wood grain, right? I like this test. Now let's do another test. The test of making tempera or huarche. In this case, we're going to add the soot with alcohol again because this will be water-based. So first we mix the soot with a few drops of rubbing alcohol, the regular kind, and mix well. Then we add a couple of measures of plaster of Paris, the finest one. And we keep adding enough water to reach the shade we want. You have to mix it perfectly, just like in the other cases. And, well, in this case, I left it a gray color. It looks pretty good on the paper. Take a look at the test. Let's do another test. The test with the plastic varnish. The one that's made with styrofoam, or whatever you call that white foam where you are, it has a different name in each place. It's expanded polystyrene. That varnish is prepared using thinner for contact cement. And we dissolve pieces of clean styrofoam. And once it reaches a varnish-like consistency, we can use it. Over a bit of lampblack, first we're going to add a few drops of this varnish and mix it well. This is how you get a jet black barliz. Then we add a bit more of the barleys and it comes out shiny and very durable. Always remember that the enemy of this barleys is the sun, which degrades the polystyrene, turning it into microplastic, right? So this type of barleys should be used indoors, away from the sun. But it looks pretty good. It took the pigment really well. Notice that I spread it directly with the spatula. I didn't even use a brush, and it turned out pretty well. Let's move on to another test, the one with homemade furniture wax. That wax is made with linseed oil and beeswax. In this case, we first prepare that wax. We mix 8 parts linseed oil with 2 parts beeswax. This is heated in a double boiler until the wax is completely melted. Once it's melted, you can take it out of the double boiler. When this mixture cools down, it will have an ointment-like consistency. I already showed it to you when we made the leather and wood protector. But this time, before it cools down, we're going to add the pigment little by little. And we're going to keep mixing until we get the shade we need. Once it's cold, you can see it ends up like a paste. You can see it here. You apply this with a cloth and you can use it on wood. The soot gets trapped mainly in the wood grain, just like it happened before with the linseed oil. For me, this is the standout mixture out of all the tests I did. I really like the look it gave to the wood. Look at this, it's amazing. Also, this same mixture can be used for shoes. Just like shoe polish. Look, here I am polishing shoes. In this case too, it gives very, very good results. To finish, I'll share my opinion about the tests. I was disappointed by the India ink. I expected something different. It works very well when combined with varnishes, both water-based varnish and polystyrene varnish. They took the color very, very well. The temper test wasn't that bad. But, well, I don't like plaster for this. It leaves quite a few lumps. That temper didn't convince me. And as I mentioned before, the pigment mixed with the wax. In paste form, it's very, very good. It's great for use as a penetrating finish or as a patina. You can also use it as shoe polish. Although it's very tempting to use soot or lampblack in cosmetics, for eyeliners and eyeshadows, I don't recommend it under any circumstances because the carbon black obtained the way I showed you, it has toxins that can be harmful to your health. There are more products that could be tried using this amazing pigment. King of Dark Dyes. If you know or have tried it, leave a comment. I'd like to hear from you. And well, I hope these handmade tests I've done are useful to you. If you liked it, give it a like and share the video. And subscribe by clicking the bell to receive notifications. And if you're a big fan and want to support the channel, you can join, and in that case, I'll add you to a WhatsApp group where the premium members are. Thank you so much for watching the video, and until next time, God willing.